I'm so grateful for that clap. Yeah, I'm also grateful that my heater and my hot water heater is working, y'all. So gratitude is like a really, really heavy subject for me. It's been some really great medicine for me in my life. And as I say that to you all, like there's this little cynical part in my heart that does a heavy eye roll and just like huffs really loudly. But I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and I've had a lot of really bad things happen. And that gratitude journal stuff, it really works, y'all. If you can just find like anything out of any situation to find something to be grateful for, a reason to get out of bed, or just do anything and keep moving, it really works. It's really helpful. And I had a totally different story that I was going to tell you guys until a couple of days ago. My dad, who was like my very first teacher of gratitude and all things like compassion and happiness and joy and just being happy when everything is just absolute shit, was going into the hospital on his birthday. It was his 72nd birthday, and my entire life I've known this man as someone who he will call himself crippled. He's been partially paralyzed from a car accident that he had when he was like 22, 23 years old, right after he got back from Vietnam. He was in a coma for 2 months, and they told him he would never like walk again or read or write or do anything, that he would basically be a vegetable. But he did all those things. And as I knew him when I was a little girl, he was very happy and had a lot of joy. And so on his birthday last week, I was headed to Baton Rouge to see him at the hospital. And the whole time I'm in the car, I'm having like a lot of really good memories, but I'm also dealing with a lot of like heavy feelings of emotion and anger. Sometimes I have these feelings like where I'm a little upset that I didn't have like a normal dad like other people. There were some very early traumas that happened to me that I feel like wouldn't have happened had he been a normal dad like other people's dads. And being the adult that I am, it's sometimes really hard to deal with that. And like while he's sick, it's like really hard for me to deal with that. But anyway, so I get to the hospital and I'm having all these heavy emotions go on and walk in, tears are falling down my face, and he's asleep. And I put my hand onto his forehead, and his bright crystal blue eyes just like open up, and he has this big grin once he realizes who I am and says, "Hey, shortcake." And he's called me shortcake my entire life, and I occasionally call him pound cake, which he thinks is freaking hilarious. So he's, "Hey, shortcake, how you doing?" "Daddy, I'm doing great. How are you? Happy birthday." And his response to "how are you" is, "Man, I'm doing great, man. God is good. I feel so good." And I'm just like sitting there laughing because he's clearly not feeling good, but he's exuding so much joy. And this is who my father is somebody, no matter how bad things are, he's gonna find the joy. He's gonna find the happiness. So I visit with them all day long, and it's getting dark out. It's time for me to go home to New Orleans, and I'm riding on the interstate, and I'm on the 610, and all of a sudden, I'm like kind of close to where St. Bernard Avenue is, and my car just starts shaking. And while my car's shaking, I had been sitting there. I like already have this ugly cry going. Like there's snot coming from my nose. There's tears coming from my eyes. And because I'm having all these complicated emotions, you know, my dad's really not doing well. And I have just all of these complicated emotions from my entire life and my relationship with both of my parents. And then my car is shaking and I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, is another car hitting me? Am I about to be hit? Am I dragging something? It takes a few seconds for me to realize I'm driving 80 miles an hour and my tire is flat. And there are two 18-wheelers on either side of me. And I just take a deep breath and I start to get over. As I'm starting to get over, there's the exit for Elysian Fields. I'm able to easily pull into a gas station where there's lots of lights. And while I'm there for like a split second, I have this like thought, like, all right, where is he? Because always, like, some guy, anytime this situation's ever happened in New Orleans, there's always some man who just shows up and is like, hey, you have a flat tire. Can I help you out? You know, like, it's always happened. And sometimes they want cash, and sometimes they just want to flirt. And I have always obliged. But this time, while I'm sitting there having like all of these negative, bad emotions, I'm like, you know, my dad taught me how to change my tire. And I haven't changed my own tire in a really long time. And, you know, even though my dad was hurt, like when I moved out of the house and I was 17, he made sure I knew how to change that tire. And no, he wasn't able to like get down on the ground and like show me, but he told me in such a way. And I could hear him while I was doing it, you know. Amy, you got to loosen up those lug nuts before you raise the car. Because if you raise the car first, then, like, it's too hard to loosen up those lug nuts. Like, you're not going to be able to get that tire off. And so that whole time, I'm not only grateful that I didn't just get into a car accident with those 18-wheelers, but I was just so grateful that I may not have had that normal kind of dad. He may not have always been able to be there to protect me. But in that exact moment, I had everything I ever needed from him. So thank you all for listening.